When you think of a phone at around 35,000 rupees today, the OnePlus 6 comes across as one of the strongest options. It has top-notch specs, a good set of cameras, and it looks pretty good too. Of late, it has gotten quite a bit of competition in the form of the Asus ZenFone 5Z that in our tests might actually be a slightly better option for many of you. Now, Huawei has its latest entry in this price segment with its sleek design and a quad camera setup with AI capabilities to give you better pictures. So, should the OnePlus 6 be worried? It looks really good. What you're seeing here is the iris purple color tone, one of the two color options that the phone is available in. Marketing name aside, it's a really cool looking gradient that starts with blue from the top and cascades into a shade of purple. It looks stunning without looking too feminine. In case you'd go for something more sober, then the phone is also available in black. It's built well too. The metal frame on the sides is wide enough to offer good grip, though the glass back may counter that with its slipperiness. As with other glass back phones, this one is prone to smudges as well. The 6.3-inch IPS display produces vivid colors, and the Full HD Plus resolution ensures a high enough pixel density for smooth color gradients in pictures and sharp text. The screen is quite bright as well, and the Nova 3 is very legible under sunlight. It has slim bezels and there's the infamous notch on the top. The good thing is that just like the other phones in its price category, it can be hidden via software. Whether you have the notch hidden or not, apps generally don't fill up the entire display, so there's no issue of it obscuring content. The notch houses the dual front cameras, earpiece, notification LED, and an infrared emitter that helps with face recognition in low light. Huawei has kept the fingerprint sensor too, which is quick at authentication. Before we continue, do subscribe to Gadgets360 on YouTube and do click that little bell icon so that we can let you know when we have a new video for you. Now, the Huawei Nova 3 is well equipped to handle multitasking and relatively heavy usage. It gets the company's top-end SoC called the Kirin 970. Now, compared to a competing platform like the Snapdragon 845 that's found in the OnePlus 6 and the Asus ZenFone 5Z, the 970 finds it a bit tough to keep up with it in terms of pure CPU and GPU power. Now, not that you'll really notice this difference in everyday usage, but when you're using heavier apps like 3D games, the difference is kind of noticeable. For example, in PUBG and ASPHALT 8, gameplay had slight hints of stutter with the settings cranked up all the way, so we had to drop the quality settings for a more consistent frame rate. Surprisingly, we didn't really notice this happening much in ASPHALT 9 on the high quality preset. We had a chance to test out the GPU Turbo feature, which according to Huawei works with PUBG and Mobile Legends in India right now, with more games to follow soon. With PUBG, issues like jitter and texture pop-ins which were present before the update were considerably less with the GPU Turbo working. We didn't really notice much difference in the way the game looked though. The one trait that we've noticed about most Kirin SoCs right from the days of the Honor 8 is that they tend to heat up quickly, and the 970 is no different. Huawei has only launched one variant of the Nova 3 in India, which ships with 6GB of RAM and 128GB of storage. Sadly, the Indian variant doesn't get NFC, another feature that's present in both the OnePlus 6 and the ZenFone 5Z. Other missing features also include FM radio, wireless charging, and there isn't any sort of water resistance either. The Nova 3 has a hybrid dual SIM tray which can accommodate a microSD card too in place of a second SIM. In case you don't use it with two SIMs, you'll get 4G VoLTE support on both of them at the same time. Now, if you prefer custom Android skins to stock Android, then Huawei's EMUI is one of the better ones out there. Now at version 8.2, it's based on Android 8.1 Oreo, and our unit had a fairly recent June 1 security patch too. The interface feels slick and fluid, and we noticed a number of cosmetic changes. There are plenty of pre-installed apps, but all of them can be uninstalled if needed. The Nova 3 boasts of a visual search feature powered by Amazon Assistant. It scans the item you point at it and shows you the same or similar items on Amazon. This also works when you touch any image on the screen with two fingers. The accuracy rate isn't very high, but there are moments when it works well. The 16 megapixel primary sensor gets PDAF and an f1.8 aperture lens, but there's no optical image stabilization. Now, just like the P20 Pro, the Nova 3 has the ability to recognize objects and scenes and will automatically enhance colors and exposure accordingly. This doesn't always work in your favor, as the AI program has a tendency to oversaturate colors like greens, which makes the scene look unnatural at times. Thankfully, Huawei has now added an option in the gallery where you can turn off the AI enhancement if you don't like it. In daylight, landscape shots have good detail and colors, and the app is able to detect a number of scenes and objects well. The software is a bit aggressive with sharpening, which often ends up distorting edges around objects. Macros turn out well too, but again, the over-sharpening can make finer details and close-ups like flowers appear a bit blurry. At night, autofocus is a bit slow, and due to the lack of OIS, you need to be extra steady, else images end up having slight motion blur. There's a second 24 megapixel monochrome sensor with the same f1.8 aperture, which captures detailed black and whites. Its focusing speed isn't as quick as the main sensor though, even under good light. This sensor is also used for gauging depth for portrait shots. Speaking of which, just like the iPhone X, you can change the type of lighting, add beautification and depth effects in the portrait mode here as well. The results are often decent with good edge detection. The Nova 3 also has a 24 megapixel selfie camera along with a 2 megapixel sensor for depth data. The AI feature works for selfies too, and portrait mode is once again handled decently well. One cool feature that's exclusive to the selfie camera is the HDR Pro toggle. This prevents bright backgrounds from looking overexposed, and it works really well too. The front camera also shoots 1080p video at 60 fps. The cinematic portrait mode lets you shoot stills with a 21:9 aspect ratio, but without AI enhancements. The phone can shoot up to 4K resolution at 30 fps, but you don't get any sort of stabilization, even at lower resolutions such as 1080p. Now, Huawei tells us that this is in the works and will be coming soon as an update. The video quality is good during the day, but is pretty average in low light. The camera also has some trouble locking focus when you move about, forcing you to tap to focus every now and then. You can also shoot short bursts of 480 fps slow motion video, but the quality once again is quite average. The AR lens shooting mode lets you play around with different props for your face and background. Huawei has its own version of Apple's Animoji called 3D Qmoji. Now you can choose from 6 different characters, but you can't exactly create a Qmoji of yourself. Now the battery in the Nova 3 holds up pretty well with extensive gaming and even heavy use of the camera. With moderate usage, we were able to get an entire day's worth of use on a single charge. The 3750 mAh battery capacity supports fast charging, but it's not fast enough. It takes roughly an hour to charge the battery halfway and then another hour to reach 100%. Thankfully, the quick charger is bundled with the phone along with the USB Type-C cable. It's nice to see Huawei finally getting more of its products in India, and the Nova 3 is definitely a very interesting option. But more than the competition, the Nova 3 has to contend with some sibling rivalry first. You see, the Honor 10 and the Honor View 10 offer very similar features as the Nova 3 and are also priced a little below 35,000 rupees. Now between these three, the Nova 3 feels like the slightly better choice, even though it's a little more expensive, as it has a more modern design compared to the View 10 and the battery life is a bit better when compared to the Honor 10. However, with phones like the OnePlus 6 and even the Asus ZenFone 5C around, the Huawei Nova 3 doesn't quite match up to them, which is quite unfortunate. If features like video stabilization, NFC, and having the most powerful processor matter to you, then you'd be happier with either of the other two. The Huawei Nova 3 is a beautifully crafted smartphone with a good display and a capable front camera, but falls a bit short in delivering the knockout punch that's needed to take down the competition. So thanks for watching our review of the Huawei Nova 3. We hope this was helpful for you, and for all things tech, keep it tuned to gadgets360.com.